So, hello, I'm Chris Jarrod. I am one of the actors in a co-production between the Royal Shakespeare Company and the Unicorn Theatre in London, which is possibly the country's leading children's theatre. We're doing Midsummer Night's Dream. I'll be playing Oberon and Theseus. We've already mounted the show here in London, where I am now. We've done a little run for some schools and for young family audiences for 8 weeks, I think. We've had a little respite, which is very unusual in this game. And now we're back to work and joining the Royal Shakespeare Company as of next Monday. I think we open Thursday or Friday of that week. And I don't know, I'm sure there are a few more things I've missed, but
that's great.
That's the crux of it.
And obviously this version is like a streamlined 90-minute straight through production. How do you kind of go about telling the story in that 90-minute time frame?
Yeah, do you know what? Midsummer Night's Dream is everywhere at the minute. It's at the Globe, it's on tour, it's here. And I suspect ours is one of the shortest running times. And having seen some of the other productions, I don't know, I'm sure there's lots of juicy text that's been redacted. But story-wise, it feels pretty clean. I mean, Robin Belfield, who's done a lot of work in Stratford, has given us our edited version. And it's been solid right from the off, really. He's really captured enough essence of the characters, so hopefully our young audiences can follow clearly the story and the telling of who is who. But a lot of that, a lot of the humanity, a lot of the struggle between both the Athenians, the young lovers, and the fairies, still is very, very much at the forefront, very present. So I think it's a really juicy edit with lots going for it, and it's 90 minutes, which is a lot. It's a big ask for young audiences. We're playing for as young as 7, but I know from our experience, the Unicorn, we've had some younger kids in, and it's quite a feat. It's a huge achievement. I think all the audience, especially the young audience, deserve a great round of applause themselves at the end, because to maintain that concentration for 90 minutes without the break is an achievement. But they are certainly capable of it. You know, it feels that from our weeks of running the show here, it feels like they're so willing to be engaged from the off. And the play has so many beautiful colors. It has high stakes. You know, we meet these characters in Athens at the beginning, and the stakes are high. You know, the Duke, the patriarchy sort of lay down the rules of Athens, and it's tense. And it's not until we break into the forest and we see these young lovers, our young heroes, if you will, finding their feet in the forest with each other, and these sort of crucial first love relationships, how they negotiate that. And it really comes alive, and we get to see a lot more humor and a lot more silliness. We get to see the fairies behaving in a very different way. So they're taking on quite a, it's the whole gamut of colors that I hope the audiences will enjoy.
And obviously for yourself, you get kind of like 2 roles in it. How do you kind of differentiate so the younger audiences can navigate that?
Yeah, we're all doing this. It's worth adding. So the lovers, I keep calling them the lovers, but you know, the youngsters of Athens who find themselves frolicking through the woods, they also play the mechanicals, the sort of the tradespeople who have decided to put on a play for the Duke, for myself, and for the Duchess, Amelia, the actress. And those characters, let me rephrase this, those parts aren't usually double cast, whereas Theseus and Oberon quite often are, as are Hippolyta and
Titania.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Well done. Titania and Hippolyta. So we've had lots of interesting discussions of what could the similarities be, what unifies them and what separates them. And there's certainly in the physicality, there's we're trying to play with something more uptight and deliberate, something more based in a sort of rules-based society. And in the forest, perhaps the physicality can be a little bit more animal at times, a little bit more unhuman. So there's all of that to play. We've got one of the characters is high. He's the authoritarian in the room. So there's a lot of power given for free. And you'd expect the King of the Fairies to have the same sort of treatment, perhaps. But when we first see the King of the Fairies, he's in the midst of this argument with the Queen of the Fairies. And we sort of, it's unclear, it's ambiguous, for me at least. What are the moments when he's feeling powerful? And what are the moments where he doesn't feel powerful? And there's lots of fun to be had there.
This is maybe a deep question. You might have deeped it this far, but
I don't even know Titania's name, so I don't stand a chance with this next question.
Do you kind of view Oberon as a manifestation of Theseus's inner thoughts or dreams, or is he a separate entity?
I wish we'd had that conversation 4 months ago. I don't think I have made that connection, but I love the idea. I'd love to see that production where I have thought about it, where Oberon and Titania become Theseus and Hippolyta visibly, and the audience are given the impression that the young lovers have been on a real sort of magical Alice in Wonderland style adventure. And really, they would, yeah, it's a great thought. I have thought about it. That's not really what we're playing. We're playing that they are different characters that don't interact with one another. But there's lots of food there for the actors to find what are the things that bring these two separate people together, and what are the things that are really sharply different, of which there are many.
And you've obviously touched already on the kind of younger audience members. Yourself, obviously, now being a father, it must be kind of so rewarding when you catch the eye of a child in the audience that's having a great time and loving the show.
Yeah, and absolutely, it is that. And we get to see that with a lot of the humor, with the mechanicals, a lot of the Puck. Puck is really, for us, the character that the audience can connect with right from the off. They're on side, almost like, really close friends with the audience. I think the audience feel warm to Puck immediately, and Puck is very warm with the audience. Oberon, a bit less so. So I also quite enjoy frightening the audience a little bit, because we can, and because I think they're capable of that, of having to deal with a little bit of a fright. Repeat what you said, Mark.
Obviously, like youngsters, and obviously in the audience, and obviously being a father yourself, that connection you must have kind of with the audience must be so magical.
Yeah, it's really joyous to see that reaction. And the Western Theatre, where we've been in London, it's been great for that, because we can, and I think we'll be able to accomplish it in the other place. We're going to sort of figure that out over the next few days. But we've been able to bring some of the action out into the auditorium. So we can really, it's not just about the usual relationship from stage to auditorium. We, as Theseus and Hippolyta, when we watch the play within a play, we can find ourselves, hopefully, shoulder to shoulder with some of these young audience members. And it's really wonderful how their suspension of disbelief it's unclouded. It's maybe more difficult for adults to accomplish that. But we see when we come out and sit next to these young audience members, they're not treating us like actors. I think they're invested in who our characters are at that moment, and they play along. They're excellent scene partners in that sense. And, and my daughter's been on a school trip, so selfishly, that's been beautiful. My daughter's school is not far from this theatre, and her 29 classmates came along to see the show. And I got really nervous. We'd done the show for a few weeks, and I don't know why. I certainly didn't anticipate that I would be nervous to perform for a group of 5-year-olds, but that time I certainly was.
And also, I was going to touch on that kind of element at the end of the play where you do kind of break the fourth wall and kind of sit with the audience. It must be so thrilling for you to kind of be there, like you say, next to that child who's having that moment, and you're in that character, and they're seeing you as this kind of godly character, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, yeah, certainly we've come out in nice clothes at the end. There's a wedding. We have crowns. There's something very regal and proper So I think there is something, yeah, it'd be like a prince or a duke coming to sit next to you. We certainly get that colour. This is lovely. Yeah, it's a treat. That's one of the highlights, I think, for us, is because as we all do, we rehearsed for 3-4 weeks, and we'd lost. All of the work was about trying to find what is the truth. How can we best deliver this scene without diminishing the stakes? So we still give the characters all of those intentions and obstacles that are there as evidence in the text, not to reduce that because we're playing to a young audience, but rather to trust that if we present it in a holistic way, that they can take on all of those. They have the capacity to understand sort of, intellectually, but also viscerally. I think there's a real connection there with the bodies on stage. They get real clear storytelling there.
And one of the amazing elements that is part of this production is the creative captions. I mean, I'd never seen a show of creative captions till last week, and it blew my mind how clever it was to use it. How is it for you as an actor having that there as well?
It's very exciting. It was news. It was new to me certainly as well. I remember in the first few weeks of rehearsals before, Will Monks, who is the brain behind all of our creative captioning. It was all a bit mysterious and I couldn't comprehend how it was going to affect us, how we would affect that. But really, Will has been watching us throughout rehearsals and he's adapted what he's doing around us. So it supports what we're doing. It's really exciting, not just to have the whole text up on the wall for anybody who wants to check in with that, as opposed to the action, which is a really valid thing. I think I would get a lot from that. There would be something that I didn't quite catch, and I would only make sense of it if I could see the syntax, see the structure. So that is very useful. He's also played with images, so the fairies can become letters of words that are flying around the space. We can see flowers evolving in the space and traveling across the walls. The whole stage can be projected on. So there's a lot of scope for really detailed captioning work. It's been brilliant, and I think it's been useful. We've heard good responses from our audiences that they get quite a kick from that.
Yeah, hopefully more productions kind of do that in the future.
Yeah.
But for you, obviously, it's 13 years on since you kind of last at the RSC. How do you kind of reflect on the journey 13 years ago to where you are now, coming back to RSC in this show?
I don't know, Mark, because it's been when I was last there, I had not long graduated from drama school, and that sort of the work ethic that the Royal Shakespeare Company had, and I'm sure has now, was not too dissimilar to what my experience was in drama school, where we were working incredibly long hours, working on 3 different plays at once. It was a real muscular sort of exercise to maintain that for the whole year. I've not done rep theatre for a long time. So this will be a very different game, I think. We're an existing company that's arriving. I feel like we're visitors coming in at the moment. I know we'll be very warmly welcomed, but we're not mounting the shows there. What's different? Yeah, I guess we're all older. I'll be focused on different things. I have my kids there with me for a good chunk of it, so I'll be enjoying Stratford in a different way to how I enjoyed it 15 years ago.
You'll be there on the boat, I bet. You'll be there living the dream. And then if you could turn the tables and ask Shakespeare a question about the play, what would you think you'd choose to ask him?
Oh, what a great question. And I'd have loads about this character in particular. I think I'm curious about Theseus. The fairies, to me, feels like with a bit of imagination and a little bit of gusto, you can make of it what you want. I feel there are some days where Oberon can be more mischievous and playful, some days where the stakes feel higher and he's struggling with Titania's attention not being solely on him, perhaps. So there's all that. Theseus seems more of a mystery to me. I'm still finding the color of how authoritarian he should be, because we sort of see two different colors. These characters, this is why, it's because Theseus and Hippolyta, they sort of bookend the play. We see them at the beginning, we see them at the end, and there's quite a shift from our reading on how they behave with one another from here to here. So I think I'd probably quiz him on what he wanted to do with Theseus. If there was an archetype of that character, what could it be? Because it doesn't seem explicit to me. It feels like it could be a number of things, and haven't quite found it. So I'd ask him about Theseus.
Lovely. These are three kind of sillier questions, maybe, potentially. Which character out of the two do you think is better at romance?
I wonder if neither of them are especially good. I think Oberon has the capacity to be better. Where we see him in this play, because there's this young boy who Titania's looking after, and I think it's punctured Oberon in a way that he's lost his mojo. Perhaps he's not as confident as he usually is when him and Titania are in a good place. But we know they've been fighting for a long time. It's having a really serious effect on the world around them. So we're not seeing the Lothario that we might have seen in Oberon the year before. And to be honest, Theseus also, he says to Hippolyta, I wooed thee with my sword and won thy love doing thee injuries. And yet now we're going to have a wedding and things are going to be fun and joyous. So he's coming from a really odd place too. They fought in battle and they're negotiating this new relationship. I think they're both useless, as am I as an actor. So that works out really well.
How dare you? And then if you could be turned into an animal, obviously with Bottom in the play, what animal would you like to be turned into for one day?
Oh, big cat, really big cat. We talk about leopards and lynxes and lions, tigers. Any one of those would be quite all right for me. Although being a bird, I suppose, would be nice. Being able to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe or a griffin, a flying cat.
Genius.
Yeah.
And then if there was going to be a play on your life, what do you think it would be called?
Yes. He had a go. He had a go. I don't know. Mark, you come up with such wonderful questions.
Thank you. I've done many interviews.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully there will never be a play on my life. But if there were, what would it be called? What would it be called? What would I be doing? I'd be with my guitar, having a go. I'd be having a go.
Yeah, I've thought of you could have When the Stage Goes Bright, because obviously Amelie, he could turn it and say, I've worked on that.
I like that. Okay, you win. When the stage goes bright.
There you go. There's your autobiography sorted and everything. And then if you could
I mean, we've done Aslan, we've done Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe since then. I think Aslan's got some zingers too, right? I forget what Mr. Tumnus says about Aslan, about him. No, he's not safe. He's not, what does he say? He's not safe, but he's good, or something like this. Maybe I'd like that to be the play about me. Yeah. Something good, but a little repetitious.
Yeah, strong. And for you, what are your kind of mental and physical preparations before a show like this? What do you do in the hours before going on stage?
Well, this has been a different beast for us because we've done early shows. We've been doing 10 in the morning shows and very early matinees, not the evening shows. So that preparation is different. Waking up and being in that space to work and to articulate at 10 in the morning is a challenge. But an advantage for me is having kids. We're up early in the morning anyway. We've done school runs and we sort of moved the body before getting into work. Whereas prior to having kids, perhaps there would need to have been more of a concerted effort to prepare. The difference, what I've enjoyed about this is it's not a musical, and I've done a lot of musicals the last few years where that preparation for the voice it's more exposing, I suppose. You can get away with things. I hope I can say this. I'm saying this coming to the Royal Shakespeare Company. Maybe people would disagree, but it feels like you can get away with your voice breaking, something acting differently in your voice while an emotion takes you. It feels like a lot more can be justified. Whereas in a musical, it's very exposing. If that happens during a song, then I see that, oh, that's I immediately see the performer rather than the character having dropped the ball because they couldn't make this note or because they didn't have enough breath to sing this. So that's been really encouraging. I found myself less anxious preparing for a show because I'm not concerned about my voice behaving in a way that I didn't anticipate. I don't care so much because I feel like you can get away with it. You can just let that take you somewhere else. Whereas I do remember in singing in Amelie, say, feeling that onus of not wanting to drop the ball and to sort of spoil the magic of trying to get people to buy who these characters are.
Well, I've never seen you.
What else?
I've not seen you drop the ball yet. So,
oh, good. And yeah, it's quite a physical piece. We're climbing up and down ladders. We've got some nice ropes and tires to swing on. So we're working with Laura Cubitt, who's just left Stratford. She's been working on The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. So she'll be coming back with us to whip us back into shape. But it is a physical show, and because we're 9 actors in the company, we're 8 actors on stage with one super actor who's covering everybody. But that means that everybody's double cast or maybe triple cast at some points. There's a lot of characters with very few actors. So there's no moments where we're sitting down in the wings for 20 minutes or able to sneak off for a cup of tea. Everybody's really leaning into the thing from start to finish. And it's 90 minutes, but it's a really sort of high energy 90 minutes.
And then to wrap up our interview, this may be different for different ages of the audience, but what would you hope someone takes away from seeing Midsummer Night's Dream?
Well, that's something we've talked about. We've been working with a group of, we call them our creative associates, and they're students from they're sort of young teenage students who have done a lot of I think they even started working before the actors came in to try and discuss what are the themes, what are the messages that they want, that feel important and empowering to them. So we've done a bit of work with these people, a little sort of a few workshopping ideas, and a sense of magic, a sense of mischief, a sense of daring, I suppose. They're going to encounter characters right from the off who feel tense and uptight. And throughout the course of the show, we see these young characters sort of finding their feet, finding their ability to talk. And so I think that the young audiences are going to really identify with certain characters over others, I'm sure. But ultimately, they should all take away that sense of, I'd hope they'd all take away a sense of mischief.
Chris, it's always a joy. This leads me to say Midsummer Night's Dream runs in Stratford from the 19th of June till the 30th of August.
Mm-hmm. Please come along. We'd be happy to see you there.
Quite a few dates already sold out, so everyone should book it early, to be fair.